I first learned the bare-bone basics of prostitution when I was 7 years old. There was no sex involved, but there was definitely an exchange of money and certainly dignity. I grew up in Berea, Ohio, which is just 20 minutes outside of Cleveland, far enough to make it all white. And I was not white, still not white, Hispanic. But when I was a child, I was a lot darker than I am now. I've paled out over the years, but as a child, I was very tan, very brown, and jet black hair. So I stuck out like a sore thumb. My mother did not help me out at all in this department because she didn't know how to style hair at all, so she kept it super short, very androgynous looking. I essentially looked like a miniature Aziz Ansari, mustache and all. And I know he's Indian, but there's really not much difference in hair follicles between Hispanic and Indians. So in 1989, I was really killing it in the first grade. But despite all the teasing, even though I was the only one who looked like me in school, I still enjoyed going to school because I was in the first grade, which meant the first graders shared lunch period with the fifth graders, which meant that I shared the lunch period with Brad Perkins, a fifth grader I was absolutely in love with. He was tall, he had broad shoulders, and that exquisite combination of brown hair and blue eyes. And so I would just kind of go in the cafeteria and stare at him every day. But being the small, brown, Hispanic, androgynous-looking child that I was, how would I get Brad Perkins to notice me? So one day, in a completely psychosis-induced bout of adrenaline, I decided I was going to approach him. And I was going to approach him and give him the only thing that I owned in this world, which was my lunch money. So I just walked up to him with $1.25 in my hands and just presented it to him. I said nothing. I didn't say hello. I didn't say my name. I just did this. And now he had about 6 friends around him who all lost it. They could not believe that this little first grader, this nobody in a New Kids on the Block t-shirt and jelly sandals, was just handing over her lunch money. But Brad didn't laugh. Sweet as he was, sweet, sweet Brad. He just looked at me and he smiled and he said, "Thanks." And he took it. And I turned on my heel and I walked with my chin in the air because I had done it. I had made contact. I had gotten him to notice me. And I sat back down at the table with my friends who were all busy eating their hot trays of government-regulated garbage while I ate nothing. But I was full on the fact that Brad Perkins had noticed me. So the next day, I did the exact same thing. I walked up to him with my money and presented it to him. He took it. Now this went on for 2 weeks. 2 full solid weeks, I gave him my lunch money every day at school, and I ate nothing. I could tell though at the end of the second week though, as things were winding down, I was starting to lose him a little bit. Our brief interactions, the 0.2 seconds that we had together, they were getting shorter and shorter, so I knew I had to step it up. So that day I went home and I cleared the house out of every single bit of cent and dollar bill that I could find. I went through my sister's piggy bank. I went through the couch cushions, I went through the car, I dumped out my mother's purse, and I filled one of those, those like 2-gallon size freezer size Ziploc bags. I filled it with all of the money I could find. So that next day at school, just shoulders sagging under the weight of like $67 in all kinds of spare change and dollar bills and probably Chuck E. Cheese tokens, I just handed it to him. And now, whereas all the other times his friends would laugh, no one said anything. It was like the needle on the record had scratched because they just realized like, oh shit, she just got really, really intense. And Brad didn't even say thanks this time. He just kind of picked it up and looked at it. But I thought that I had stunned them speechless and I had done an amazing job, and I, again, walked away with my chin in the air. Well, then I got home, and my mom was also home from work and wanted to know who had robbed her. So she finally not only got it out of me who had stolen all of her money, but also why I was coming home completely starving every day, and I said, well, I have a boyfriend. His name is Brad. I don't really want to talk about it, but I'm giving him my lunch money, and what's the big deal? And she just closed her eyes and shook her head, and she's like, Laura, that's not how you get guys to like you. And I'm like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's going through a divorce. Like, why would I take relationship advice from you? So I was kind of nervous though for the next day that she was going, that gross, disgusting, refrigerated brown paper bag lunch was going to be sitting there with a ham sandwich in it that tastes like garbage. But there wasn't. There was the $1.25. So I was like, see, you understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm glad you're working with me and we can just keep this going. So that next day, when I walked into the cafeteria and I saw Brad, as I met eyes with him, he saw me and he ran. He ran from the cafeteria because my mom had called the school and let them know what was going on. So Brad got 2 weeks of detention, 1 day for every day that he had accepted my gleefully given lunch money. So my mom called the school just as it was getting serious. And while I should be grateful that, you know, just knowing that betrayal, the crushing realization of knowing that you can be betrayed by really anyone, knowing that that came on early in life and I met that head on, no one ever expects to get blocked by their own mother at 7 years old. Thank you.